Welcome back, and we have been talking about dangerous drugs on this edition of Public Affairs on Peach. In this segment, we focus on peer-to-peer efforts to persuade teens not to use drugs in the first place. Joining me now is Reginald Crossley, the Fulton County Youth Commission Program Director, and Bill Zhang, the Fulton County Youth Commission Chairperson. Good morning to both of y'all.
Good morning, Ms. Neal.
Good to have both of y'all with me. Just call me Glow.
Glow.
Please call me Glow. Please call me Glow. That is. So get this. Middle school, high school parents of middle schoolers need to know their kids are not immune from the temptation of drugs. I know many of you are saying, my kids don't do drugs, and maybe they don't do drugs. That's good. But what about the others that do? So here's something that I know you hear all the time. Reggie, talk about the program, the NEO program, that is designed to address a lot of those concerns.
Yes, NEO, also known as Not Even Once, is an initiative of the Fulton County Youth Commission Program and part of Fulton County's Aging and Youth Services Department. NEO was created to help combat the growing issue of drug abuse amongst teens. NEO participants are trained on how to handle peer pressure, the effects of drug abuse, drug addiction, and we also emphasize on the legal aspect and the consequences for drug possession, trafficking, which many of our young people fall victim to.
Right, because it's important for parents, for aunties, uncles, anybody who is in a position of authority to know, to hear that even the best child is not immune to the temptations of drugs.
That is correct, and it's unfortunate that we find many of our scholars, the ones falling victim to drug abuse, and taking on these habits to fit in or to gain friends,
right.
And they often are the ones that become addicted.
Right, absolutely right. So, Bill, I want you to talk to me because I know you represent the youth, the young among us. Talk about the opioid and the heroin use among teens.
Right, so the main problem with these sorts of prescription drugs is that they're so easy for teenagers to get their hands on. Whether it's a legitimate medical purpose or whether they're taking it from their parents' cabinets, these teenagers are both getting their hands on these drugs and distributing it to their friends, to their peers, through peer pressure. And that means that certain opioids are getting into a lot of different schools and without any adults knowing. Sometimes parents are too proud of their students and they think that my kids cannot ever do these drugs, but in reality they're doing it just without their attention.
Right, absolutely. And so when you go to these teens or the training that goes into teaching other teens how to go to teens, what do you say? How do you address that?
Well, we kind of take this peer pressure and we spin it on its head. You know, with peers getting other peers to do drugs, we are the peers that are telling other peers not to do drugs. And through this peer-to-peer interaction, we're encouraging them to seek help if they are doing it. And we're also encouraging them to say no to their friends who may be doing it, who may be encouraging them to do it as well.
Absolutely. You know something, Reggie, you brought these goggles, and I think that this is something that's really interesting. Tell us about the drug kits, the beer goggles, and the drug prevention manuals that you brought here.
As part of our NEO presentation, we utilize a professional drug kit that features various substances in the different drug families. So we give students live visuals of what these drugs look like, and we also incorporate a series of activities, one of which is the beer goggles, which gives them the feeling of being drunk at 0.20. Which is highly intoxicated.
Wow.
So they put these goggles on and they go through a series of activities, as you can see on the screen, that these young people are not aware the dangers of being intoxicated at this level.
And so the goggles make them feel drunk.
Yes.
And you put it on, and it is that is amazing to me. You can put that on, and they probably otherwise would not feel how those goggles make you feel. And then how does the conversation go once they take them off and say, whoa, my gosh, I had no idea?
They think twice. They see that they have no control, and functioning under this type of influence is very dangerous.
It is absolutely very dangerous. It certainly changes the context of the conversation. And here's something else. They see drugs, they see alcohol, totally different. How many times after they take those goggles off do they say, whoa, wait a minute, that changes the conversation. That too is a drug.
Yes, it is. And they definitely think twice before they choose to drink.
They do. Are students more likely to listen to someone their own age as opposed to someone who's older?
In a lot of ways, yes, they do, because they see that they're being spoken to by somebody who has shared their experiences and who understands what they're going through, as opposed to an adult who might have a more antiquated understanding of what teenagers do, or a more older understanding of what society seems to be like. They feel like teenagers who are their own age understand them better, and so they're naturally more open to them.
Yeah, antiquated in a good way. Don't take it personal, Reggie. I don't either. But, you know, with something so serious, I tell you, it is really eye-opening to hear all of these challenges. I mean, drugs have been around for so long, it just really gives you pause to hear about how serious it is as we graduate through these years with all these drugs. Absolutely. Thank y'all so much. And thank you for joining us for this edition of Public Affairs on Peach. Until next Saturday, have a good one.